Hey everyone, it's John here from Hot Take Hockey, back with another video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hope you hit that subscribe button, like, and definitely comment your thoughts down below. Toronto Maple Leafs going into the new season. Nick Robertson still not signed. He's the only RFA on the team unsigned, and it looks like reports have stayed consistent. Chris Johnson, other sources talking about Nick Robertson's view not changing. Of course, the report came out in the spring and going into the offseason that Nick Robertson wanted out, wanted a change of scenery. And of course, a lot of that has to do with Nick Robertson's injury history, not being able to be consistent in the Leafs lineup. Some of that to do with injury, some of that to do with roster and lineup selection. And Nick Robertson still unsigned, as I said, still wants that change of scenery according to reports. Chris Johnson also outlined that maybe new head coach, new opportunity, there's a clear need on that left wing. And then Elliot Friedman came out on 32 Thoughts talking about how the Leafs are looking at the left wing market. So that's why this video is being recorded here, guys. I'm gonna go through some left wing targets for the Toronto Maple Leafs based on rumors, based on my own speculation. But at the end of the day, I mean, Nick Robertson could just come back and fill that role. I mean, I'll go through some of the roster construction here. I mean, Matthew Knies and William Nylander were really gaining some chemistry towards the end of the year. So maybe you keep those guys together. You have center options in Matthews, Domi, Tavares. If you put Domi on the wing, maybe you have a top line of Matthews, Domi, Marner potentially, and then you could go a second line of Nylander, Knies, and Tavares. I've seen mock lineups that have Bobby McMahon in the top six, which maybe gives an opportunity for Domi or Knies to be a guy on that third line. And then you have depth options like Holmberg, Yarncrow, David Kampf, Connor Dewar, go down the list. And then is Easton Cowan and Fraser Minton going to get an opportunity to make the lineup? So there's so many different elements, so many different options, but Nick Robertson could be that guy in that top six on the left wing, and then you could really have big time depth. I mean, you could have Bobby McMahon in the top six as well, and then you could have Nylander and Knies maybe as like a really electric third line. So that's kind of how I look at it. I mean, you look at Stanley Cup winning teams. I've referenced Phil Kessel and the Pittsburgh Penguins so many times, but it goes down the list, like Washington, St. Louis, most recently teams like Vegas, and you just look at even Colorado, who have had a lot of depth, and then recently they've lost that depth and haven't been successful. So you kind of go through those perspectives, and then the Florida Panthers specifically last year, guys like Evan Rodriguez on the third line, or at least up and down the lineup, scoring big goals in the playoffs, Luostarinen, Lundell. So that's where Toronto's, I think, looking at. Either they can get some of their veterans or spread out the lineup at the top nine, or they can get guys like Fraser Minton and Easton Cowan to be those difference makers in the playoffs as depth players that are young and going to be part of the Leafs long term. So many points of conversation. But let's talk about specifically if Nick Robertson is going to get moved, where could he go, and who could they replace him with? So I've talked about the California teams, I've talked about the Winnipeg Jets, and specifically you'll see it in the thumbnail, Cole Perfetti. Could Perfetti be an option for other teams, Toronto Maple Leafs specifically, Windsor native? I think Perfetti has had a tough time staying healthy, but also getting a consistent role with the Winnipeg Jets. That sounds familiar. That sounds like the Nick Robertson Toronto Maple Leafs situation. I would put Cole Perfetti's value a lot higher, talking about a first round pick, top 10, top 15. That's where I look at Cole Perfetti as being a 20 to 30 goal scorer, maybe 50, 60, 70 points. So that's the perspective for Perfetti. So if the Leafs want to go the trade route, that could be an option. I've talked about Trevor Zegras. I don't know if that's realistic. A lot of people watching this video and talking online, you don't want the soft players per se coming in if that's not what you need. You lost Tyler Bertuzzi. Maybe you're going to bring in a little bit of sandpaper or a guy that has that veteran presence that knows what it takes to play in this league and maybe win. So veteran pieces right now in the free agent market would be a James Van Riemsdyk, and would be Max Pacioretty. So JVR, former Leaf, legend. I think James Van Riemsdyk could be a guy to look at, but Max Pacioretty, there's been a lot of speculation around the Leafs going after the former Montreal Canadiens. So look out for that. Philip Zadina, maybe as you're watching this video, he's already signed with another NHL team, but that was a rumor. Maybe he gets an opportunity and it really kind of gets along for him, because I mean, talking about a guy that has only scored like 13, 14, 15 goals at the NHL level, and it hasn't really been able to break through. So Philip Zadina, I think he was a 6th overall pick, so he really has not been able to break through as a consistent producer in the NHL. So Philip Zadina, look out for that. But in terms of the Toronto Maple Leafs options, I do think that James Van Riemsdyk, Max Pacioretty could be the veteran options. But then more specifically, if you're going a trade route, maybe it's Nick Robertson plus like a young Crowan Camp, prospect, draft pick, get a package together for maybe like a Perfetti or another younger player that needs a change of scenery similar to Robertson. So give your thoughts, guys, in the comments down below. Could it be a trade for the Toronto Maple Leafs, or could it be a signing with what's left? Again, Max Pacioretty has had some offers apparently and other teams interested, so it's a matter of, I would say, health status and what he wants to do. But there are veteran options, there are trade options. It's just a matter of, will Nick Robertson stay or go? We're going to find out in the coming weeks. Thanks, guys. Talk soon. Peace.